As much as Yuji is connected to Sukuna, he is his own person. So for this video, and for the sake of focusing on our MC, we'll take a deeper look into who Yuji is, and all the events that formed him as a character. Yuji Itadori seemed to have a fairly normal birth to Jin and Kaori, or so we're led to believe. His mom was actually replaced at some point, and his dad was Sukuna's twin, who reincarnated after being consumed in the womb. Very early on, his grandpa Wasuke tried to warn Jin about Kaori being dangerous, but he ended up not taking the advice and disappeared. Or died, we're not really sure. For us, it was clear who she was because she had stitches like Kenjaku. But what's uncertain is if he just mixed his blood in to create a perfect vessel, or gave birth to Yuji himself. In my opinion, it's probably the latter, considering at one point in the manga he refers to Yuji as his son. Evidently, after losing both parents, Wasuke ended up raising Yuji until the beginning of the series. The day we meet him is also the day he succumbs to his battle with lung cancer, leaving Yuji truly without family to support him, until the truth comes out. When we first meet Yuji, he's athletic, fairly popular, and has inhuman speed and strength. After his grandfather leaves him with a final piece of advice, his sense of justice becomes so pronounced that it ends up becoming detrimental at times. But we'll see that later on. While he's mourning, Megumi Fushiguro comes to warn him about the special grade cursed object, i.e. Sukuna's finger. And Yuji, taking his grandpa's words to heart, insists on helping to stop the curses in his school, even though he'd never seen one before today. After saving his club's members, Yuji ends up eating Sukuna's finger when Megumi's badly injured to help protect him. He immediately gets possessed, which was Kenjaku's intention, and gets taken over, which would force Megumi to execute him. However, he's able to get control back easily. As it happens, Yuji ends up being able to switch back at will, and Gojo arrives in time to verify it's true, keeping his words to Megumi that he'll find a way to help him. After some behind-the-scenes conversations, Yuji's not executed thanks to Gojo's status as the strongest living sorcerer. He then enrolls in Jujutsu High, temporarily instead, just until he can acquire all of Sukuna's fingers, and then voluntarily be destroyed. And for the greater good, of course. And with a selfless personality like his, that's not much of a demand for him. Eventually, Yuji does his first mission with the other first year, Nobara Kugisaki, and she proves to be the perfect third member of their class. Another day, Yuji's sent with them on a detention center investigation where a cursed womb attacked the inmates. Unfortunately, a finger bearer ends up seriously injuring Yuji, but he distracts it until Megumi and Nobara can get away despite the pain. Once they're far enough, Yuji switches with Sukuna, who he can usually control. But due to the wavering in his heart this time, he can't change back and has his heart removed by the King of Curses to help keep him hostage. If you know Yuji, even Megumi knew what would happen. He chooses to die from having no heart rather than letting Sukuna stay in control. This mission happening during a time when Gojo's away was a purposeful coincidence. It's also foreshadowing the higher-ups' behavior and the lengths they'll go to for a decision that they believe is right. And we can argue that their plan would have spared many lives in the future, but that's not how things went. After awakening in Sukuna's domain, he makes a deal with Yuji that he'll revive him with no strings if he can beat him. But if he can't, then he'll have to do whatever Sukuna says when the time comes. Of course, Yuji stands no chance and loses the bet. He comes back to life, but now the word in chain looms over him. Not that he's aware, since he's made to forget about the agreement after he wakes up. Pleased but not too surprised, Gojo takes Yuji's revival as a good thing for him, now that he's believed to be dead. Yuji can brush up on the basics so he can't be taken down so easily next time. Gojo trains prior to the exchange event, and Yuji even gets to see a domain expansion battle up close and personal. Maybe too close, considering Jogo's lava almost burns him. This is also around when Yuji discovers he uses Divergent Fist, where the impact of a move comes before the cursed energy can catch up due to his insane speed. As Gojo is in high demand, he can't always be around to watch over Yuji. So a new mentor, Kento Nanami, appears, and he doesn't seem to appreciate Yuji as much as carefree Gojo. Still, he's a professional, and they investigate a case involving transfigured humans together. As Yuji befriends Junpei and his mom after some vague questioning, Nanami faces the mastermind himself, Mahito. Not long after, Yuji confronts Junpei when he attacks his school to avenge his mother's brutal death. But Yuji allows his new friend to attack him since he was so insensitive and didn't consider the full picture. After making up, Mahito reveals himself as the cause, which Yuji figures out instantly, and the curse transfigures Junpei with Yuji unable to do anything but watch. In his desperation, Yuji asks for Sukuna's help and is laughed at until his rage boils over. With his status as a vessel, Yuji's able to hit Mahito's soul, unlike with most other sorcerers. Their clash is bloody and destructive, but Yuji holds his own until Nanami arrives at last. As he and Nanami take the upper hand, Mahito releases his domain, and Yuji breaks Nanami out of the domain, something that most wouldn't want to attempt. Due to sharing a body, Sukuna unintentionally helps Yuji defeat Mahito, who still escapes. Yuji can't chase after him though because he's put his body through too much. Afterwards, he reflects on not being able to help Junpei have a proper death, but it's also the moment he's reminded by Nanami not to exchange his life for an impossible deal. Later, Yuji reveals his revival, which rightfully triggers his friends, and he joins the exchange event. During the event, Yuji has to avoid being killed by the Kyoto school on Gakuganji's orders, while also being offered the chance to improve his abilities by Aoi Todo. When Yuji learns how to hit with his cursed energy and his fist in tandem, he can start to aim for a black flash, which comes in handy against Hanami. He and Todo replace the Zenin duo when they're overwhelmed, and Yuji puts his luck and fast learning on display when they beat down Hanami. And then Gojo stops everything, with Yuji watching in awe. After a game of baseball and some deep talks, another mission comes up. Megumi's old school's involved in a curse with a bridge, and it's been killing off victims for the past few weeks. After learning the details, Megumi tries to do it alone, but Yuji and Nobara knows what he's up to and join him. As the whack-a-mole goes on, Yuji deals with one of the cursed wombs, Kechizu, and follows it outside the domain after Nobara, who was pulled through. As he and Nobara team up against the brothers when they're poisoned, Yuji unknowingly kills his own distant relatives. But, feeling bad for watching them cry, and it having a similar effect on him to when he faces transfigured humans, is proof of how kind Yuji is. Or, maybe it was hinting at his connection to them. In a rare moment of peace, Yuji's called to meet with his allies, and catches up with a girl he crushed on at his school. Nobara takes her number, but we don't even know if she survives what comes later. The calm doesn't last long in Jujutsu Kaisen. Yuji then finds out, thanks to Urahime, that Mekamaru was the traitor, and they were too late to stop him. 10 days later, Yuji helps in Shibuya, in a supporting role, while Gojo goes in on his own, when he's asked for by name. He's unfortunately a part of the sussy sibling team, meant to take down curtains that were put up by the fake ghetto side. After seeing some transfigured humans, Yuji knows who's involved. He's already on edge about Mahito being there, and a grasshopper curse has the bad luck of bumping into him, and challenging him no less. Then the worst scenario comes to pass, and Yuji's the first to find out that Gojo's been sealed, thanks to a communication device that Mekamaru connected to him. With the curtains still up, Yuji has to let everyone else know what's happened the only way that he can. So after beating up some transfigured humans, he screams from the top of a building with his insane lung power. It's super effective. Yuji then has to take down a curtain put up by his psychopathic curse users with Megumi and Ino. After leaving Ino to deal with the grandma-grandson duo, Yuji and Megumi double-team Awasaka after figuring out his technique. When Megumi spots Ino falling from the building, badly beaten, Yuji has to hurry and catch him, again showing off his superhuman stats. After being told to focus on helping free Gojo rather than avenging Ino, he and Megumi split up, and this is where things get bad. In the underground, Yuji ends up face to face with the exact person seeking to avenge his siblings, Choso. Even with Mekamaru's help part way, Yuji nearly dies, until Choso realizes that they are straight up brothers. This leaves Yuji unconscious, with Sukuna at the disposal of Geto's allies who feed him fingers. And Jogo shoves 10 more down his throat for a similar reason, needing Sukuna's aid. Yuji stood no chance of getting back control when he was already near death. and so many parts of Sukuna were put inside of him. As evil beings are prone to do, Sukuna destroys everything in Shibuya, but he saves Megumi and kills Haruto. Yuji wakes up to all the death, wanting only to end himself for being the cause of it. He might have been able to see the whole time, or was overwhelmed with the memories once he regained control. Yuji goes off, depressed, and finds Nanami badly burnt. Before he can help, Yuji watches him eviscerated by Mahito, and lashes out frantically until he remembers Nanami's advice. Around the same time, Yuji's helped by Nobara, who's using resonance on the curse's part. But Nobara's taken down by Mahito's hands when Mahito tricks her, and Yuji's forced to watch the consequences again. With all the tragedy piling up, Yuji can't keep it together. After having a breakdown and being hit with a black flash from Mahito, he receives backup from Todo to take down the monster once and for all. And it helps that Nita gives him a bit of hope regarding Nobara's survival. After an epic showdown that unleashes all of their full potential, Mahito's domain knocks Todo out of the fight, and Yuji has to finish it on his own. Which he does like a boss. After he stalks Mahito to end him, Kenjaku absorbs Mahito and powers up. He sends curses from Ghetto storage at Yuji, badly wounding him, but not stopping him. More backup arrives then, but they're not really good enough to face Kenjaku. Then Choso reveals his connection to both Yuji and Kenjaku, joining the good side. They work together but struggle to do any damage, and then Urarame, Sukuna's ally, arrives to finish them all. With Yuji the only one that needs to survive, thankfully Yuki shows up and protects them. Yuki and Kenjaku discuss the past, but Yuji doesn't understand. She suggests that they team up to fight him, but Yuji can't move anymore. Then a slew of curses are unleashed on Japan, creating chaos to the nth degree. Kenjaku also activates the marked people and sorcerers to prepare for the next part of the Culling game. It's clear that Yuji takes him leaving with the prison realm as another failure, having lost Nanami and Nobara prior to that. Not to mention that he didn't get to avenge them by killing Mahito himself. As things turn from bad to worse, orders are sent out by the higher-ups, with one about Yuji's execution being back on, and this time Gojo's not around to defend him. Extreme guilt and depression weighs Yuji down, but working alongside Choso helps him get through it. Still, he doesn't feel like he can go back to Jujutsu Tech, because of everything that happened. He and Choso are busy taking down curses when Naoya Zenin shows up, looking for Megumi. He intends to use Yuji as a hostage to get Megumi over so he can kill him. But it turns out that Yuta's playing a game, and helps to fake Yuji's death, and get Naoya to leave. Well, he does actually kill Yuji to pull it off, he just makes sure to heal him fast enough so that it's not permanent. When Megumi asks to help save Sumiki, his stepsister, Yuji can't turn him down, especially with the Culling games fast approaching. He agrees, confident that Yuta can take him down in case Sukuna acts out again. Forming a group with Yuta, Megumi, and Choso, Yuji catches up with Maki and Yuki to find out more about the Culling game from Tengen, the Barrier Master. After an information overload, Yuji says goodbye to Choso, who's staying behind with Yuki to protect Tengen. After getting a huge rundown of what the Culling game will entail, I'm sure he struggled to understand everything just like us. Anyway, they now have to find Hanakurusu and Angel, so she can help free Gojo from the prison room. But first, Yuji and Megumi have to recruit Kinji Hikari, the suspended third-year student, to help them. Considering he's a delinquent with an underground fighting club, I'd say it goes pretty well. Yuji joins in the illegal brawling and ends up matched against Panda, so they can put on a good show. The other third year, Kirara, is part of the underground activities and keeps a watchful eye on him and Megumi. Long story short, the plan crashes and burns, and Yuji ends up having to face off with Hikari, who he decides to convince by not fighting back and just standing his ground. After explaining the severity of the situation, Hikari joins them. Afterwards, they hear an announcement for a new rule being added, and decide to hunt down players with 100 points or more so that they can use the points to add their own rule. One that would keep the players alive for longer. Though not directly related to Yuji, his connection to the students in the occult club allows them to be freed from a colony where they would definitely not survive. And Kenjaku goes out of his way to thank her for getting along with Yuji, who, like I mentioned before, straight up refers to him as his son. As much as Yuji thinks he's failed to keep so many alive, Iguchi and Sasaki were saved by him twice, and we'll never know. Yuji and Megumi are assigned to Tokyo Colony 1, with Yuji still worried Sukuna will do something to Megumi because of his interest in him. But he doesn't have time to worry about that, since he's immediately thrown somewhere completely different from where Megumi's sent. He's attacked by some sorcerers, but one guy, Rin Amai, recognizes him from their hometown and offers to help him find Higuruma. In the past, Rin was a silent observer of a kid being bullied and nearly got taken down by Yuji just for being there. But he keeps his word, and Yuji finds Higuruma stewing in a bathtub on a theater stage looking glum. Things escalate as they often do in this battle royale situation, and Higuruma releases his curse technique against Yuji. This drags Yuji into a trial with Judge Man inside Higuruma's domain, with the Shikigami deeming him guilty and yanking his cursed energy. But after realizing the truth in a retrial, Higuruma allows Yuji to add a rule with his points, and even feels too guilty to be around someone as good as him. Both of them are good people, honestly. But Yuji luckily meets up with Hana, who found Megumi passed out. He's chilling in a hotel, and Takaba's also with them now. When Yuji discovers that Hana is a perfectly meshed vessel with her reincarnated spirit, just like he and Sukuna, it lifts his spirit. But hearing that Angel wants to kill Sukuna gets him down again, and worries that she won't want to work with them. Meanwhile, Choso and Yuki fight for their lives against Kenjaku. Everything seems too calm though. Thanks to Kenjaku wanting more people and cursed energy in the Culling game, Yuji's group has to rush around, both helping and avoiding being attacked by the US military, which was tricked to being included in the game by Kenjaku. But Yuji and Angel don't agree on things, and disagreements happen, which isn't great, since they need her to let Gojo out. They finally rejoin Maki just to find out that Tengen was taken by Kenjaku, but at least they get Sumiki to safety. But instead of leaving the game, she adds a rule with the points they've acquired. As we dreaded, she isn't herself, and is actually an incarnated sorcerer. But it only gets worse when Sukuna uses that distraction to trigger Enchain, and force Megumi to become his new vessel. With Sukuna inside of Megumi, Yuji looks both horrified and guilt-ridden for knowing that this could happen, and failing to prevent it. He ends up slammed through buildings, and attracts the attention of his allies. But Hana gets fooled and heavily injured. But Yuji's not one to give up, and spots Sukuna, prepared to hunt him until he can get Megumi back. He walks through Sukuna's slashes, but Megumi's preventing them from being fatal wounds inside, even with Maki helping putting a crazy beating on Sukuna. Yuji just can't get Megumi back because of Urarame's ice interference. Going forward, despite experiencing a loss, Yuji can at least look forward to Gojo's return. And with him back, the world wouldn't exactly be normal, but he could help Yuji get it close. Without Sukuna, he's still considered like a cursed object, with cursed energy he can access, and help from the remaining cursed womb's power, thanks to Choso. Yuji helps free Gojo for the battle against Kenjaku and Sukuna, and it's planned for December 24th to match the day that he had to kill Geto. This gives Yuji roughly a month to train in the things that he doesn't know well, and even some special training that involves soul swapping. It's called replacement training, and many of the allies work together to improve themselves for the final fight. But let's jump back a step. Yuji's able to use reverse curse technique, basic barriers to defend himself, and even some blood manipulation. But instead of Choso helping with that, it ends up being Noritoshi Kamo, seeing as Choso's self-taught and can't explain the intricacies properly. If you're looking for a deep dive into what Yuji can do during the final showdown, check out the video we made for a more detailed explanation. With a handful of allies, Yuji plans to free Megumi from Sukuna's hold by knocking his soul free after Angel uses her technique to shatter the connection entirely. But there's another trick waiting to be used too. The same finger technique that Sukuna used to create cursed objects of himself, Yuji will rely on in a pivotal moment in the fight. But first, he receives Gojo's final words and hopes for him once he's gone, as if he knew that he was going to die. He didn't mean it in a morbid way, just that Yuji would be capable of surpassing him with time, since Gojo represents an older Jujutsu world. Then the big match begins, and Yuji must watch both Gojo and Kashimo die back to back. But there's no time to waste. It's his time to jump in with Higuruma and his curse technique that could greatly weaken Sukuna depending on Judgment. As the fight continues with Yuta helping, he and Yuji try to get rid of Sukuna's arm so he can't perform hand signs. But even with the beatdown Gojo gave him, Sukuna's still an impossibly strong sorcerer. Thanks to a fake out using Yuji's fingers, Yuta makes Sukuna believe his last finger was consumed by him, but even his own technique's not enough to finish him. So while Yuji's speaking to Megumi's broken soul within Sukuna, Maki sneaks up, thanks to having no cursed energy. But Yuji's been struggling to use reverse curse technique, and he's panicking. So Choso calmly helps him focus on the right spots to heal. With so many swapping in and out, Miguel and LaRue aren't a surprise. They're helpful to the brother duo, until the Black Flash attacks start coming. Choso and Maki get their share, but thanks to that, Yuji lands his own Black Flash, something we know him to be proficient at, and awakens his curse technique. After a chain of black flashes, Yuji uses the safety scissors version of Sukuna's cutting technique, a modification I'd like to think comes from his desire to protect everyone from harm. And with Ino helping distract with Nanami's weapon, despite being knocked down, Yuji can land some more massive blows on Sukuna. Even though Yuji did amazingly well, Sukuna still launches a modified version of his domain for him and everyone else, and Yuji's barrier technique usage withstands the constant slashes, and it's not strong enough to last what comes next. Choso shields Yuji from Divine Flame, and they're able to have one final talk, while he watches his reliable older relative burn to ash in front of him. Yuji worries that he's the only one left, too reminiscent of the trauma in Shibuya, only for Todo to appear at the right moment again. He had purposely hidden his presence in case Yuji and Sukuna were too linked. Then Boogie Woogie gets to swapping, and Yuji and Todo are almost unbeatable as a team of power types. Yuji tries to destroy Sukuna's heart, perhaps like he did his, so long ago, but eases up when Yuta arrives inside of Gojo's body. After their domain battle, he and Todo prepare to rely on Yuta's Hollow Purple, only for him to run out of time early. The tag team jumps in again, with Yuji making Sukuna cough up a finger. But with a wounded ally trying to end the brawl, Yuji's not quick enough to stop him from targeting Hana and Angel. But he certainly makes sure to launch the King of Curses back down to where he wants him, and even opens his first domain. His domain isn't the type you'd expect. For the most part, Yuji spends their time in it trying to bond with Sukuna, to convince him that his unending violence isn't the right way. Only for Sukuna to double down and threaten to kill everyone he cares about because he's being pitied. As Yuji resumes his fight with Sukuna, he tries to get Megumi back to the surface, telling him that he doesn't have to come back, but then Yuji misses him. Their brutal pummeling of each other leads to the reveal of Yuji's missing fingers, and a plan that surprises even Sukuna. Despite not seeing her, Yuji knows Nobara's the one to help him out with her resonance on the last finger. He smiles tearfully at her return, and Yuji doesn't hold back, forcing out the fingers that had become part of Megumi's body. With only a tiny part of himself left, Yuji still offers to let him live by residing within him again, but Sukuna refuses, choosing to be a curse and disappearing. After things have calmed, he and Nobara plan to surprise Megumi, only for him to wake up in the middle of it. Yuji admits Nobara made him cry, she just wasn't there to see it, and then passes on the final messages from Gojo. Then they have to go help Yuta, who's being chewed out by Maki. Everyone blames each other. There's heated arguments, but most importantly, Yuji forgives Todo for not being able to save Choso. He knows that saving Choso would have meant he died instead. And let's not even talk about the fact that his consuming all of the Sukuna's fingers is what led to this. At the very end of the series, Yuji embarks on a mission involving a curse user with Nobara and Megumi, like they used to back in the day. After they succeeded in catching the guy, in a really goofy way, Yuji tries to follow Gojo's last words, even looking forward to working with this guy when he serves his punishment. In the end, Yuji's team is shown walking together, letting us believe that their paths will be less bloody from here on out. Sure, he left Sukuna's finger back at his school, but it doesn't hold the same power anymore. It's just another way to show that balance has finally been restored. And that is the story of Yuji Itadori. If you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and subscribe for more Jujutsu Kaisen content like this. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.